Hi guys, welcome back to another Overthrow Disc Golf video, and welcome to my home office. This is where I do my lessons from. Today we have something super special for you. Part 1 of 3 had a very fun and long conversation with Eric Oakley. We thought we'd break that up for you. The first part is all about how he got his form. And as a thanks to him, I would request that you subscribe to their YouTube channel, Whale Pants. That's the biggest way we can say thank you. And also, if you're a coffee lover, check out in the link in the description below his flavor with Birdie Fuel. Enjoy.
My swing coach, Landon Knight, who's out of Texas, who again, like I mentioned, worked with Maria Oliva, and I'll make sure to plug him once we get kind of the ball rolling. But yeah, it's like I have worked at it and I have made things, but when I was talking with Landon, it kind of came down to I'm probably too late to make major altering changes. Like, it probably could have done it 5 years ago if I would have really sat down and done it. But at this point, it's best to stick with what I have and try and make micro adjustments within my throw. Because again, learning a whole new form at 34 would be I would have to do that if I was injured or doing the way I was throwing was hurting me, and it's not doing that. So yeah, I guess that's the way I'd look at it.
Yeah, because it's not just like getting the form, and Christine said this on one of our things. It's like it's not getting the form fix or the change of the form. It's getting it consistent and accurate, and then you got to make it feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And your body needs time to work out how it does those form pieces efficiently itself.
Completely.
So, yeah, I think I would agree with the idea of you probably don't want to make a huge form fix right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, your body has learned how to be efficient. And there's kind of this... what do you call it? It's like cost-benefit analysis that you have to do with your own form, and it's like how much does Andrew's backhand being like going 50 feet further actually help him?
Yeah.
Like, does it as a 1029 rated golfer, or does he look at other things? And so it's like, man, because it could get worse, and it will get worse probably before it gets better.
Absolutely.
And do I have the time to ride that down and up? And that's what you're talking about with.
And it's weird to think about. Is a 3.5 month off season enough time to apply those changes? I don't know. I tried one big change that we can that I made was I reached down, like straight down, not long ago. And now I feel like I was even farther down than that.
Yeah. Let me grab a driver from a side view here, right? Oh, this is the opposite way.
Yeah, I gave you a bunch of videos.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the best, like, look at this that we have. Although this is probably, you didn't show me the grip on this one by chance, did you? Let's look. It looks front-loaded.
I can't tell. You know what disc that is?
It's it looks like a Envy or a Proxy, maybe.
That'll be a fan grip.
Okay. Yeah. So here.
Yeah, I used to be much like. I would almost be straight down, like before, just a step before that. I was a straight down, and then I was having to peel my arm all the way up to level. Where, if you look, like I was almost pointing down towards my knee, where this is like crotch level, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's like we're talking. I don't know. That's 1.5 feet of a difference of less travel time to get on the line, and it just helped. It helped a lot with consistency, and it felt like the energy I was putting into my throws was significantly better in in that regard of I was much more consistent. Like because there were times where I'd be reaching down, coming up, pulling through, miss the angle because I'm pulling up, having to like my body's like autocorrecting. Oh, now, but it didn't get to focus on the angle. So now it's a lot better to be able to focus on like put the disc on the angle and be a little bit more level. And that was, man, that was 3 or 4 years ago. Man, do I still have those? I can. That's just like a super dive into my Instagram. When I started to make that change, and that was what I talked about with Landon, and he's also talked about a couple other stuff that is super important. So yeah, that was like I think the biggest change that I made to my form, but that was like I don't know why I started doing that. There was nothing that prompted it. It was just me growing up in the age of not having YouTube for disc golf. It was me having I found some videos online that you had to basically like download and pray that it didn't give your computer a deadly disease. So yeah, but that's where I picked up on the Brinster hop. Like that was like, I saw that and it was so funny because I saw that in old USDGC videos. We probably found that 2004, 2003 USDGC videos. Brinster's out there doing his hop, and it's just a modified X step. That's all it is. It's like I basically take out the point of crossing my back leg, and I'm just hopping through, but it's still shifting my hips. And like it was so funny. I watched a video and then immediately did it the next day, and I was like, "Yep, this is how I throw now," and I've been doing it ever since. And that was 2000. That was 2005, 2006. So when that happened. So yeah, and I've stayed with that ever since.
Yeah, it's funny. I talked to Paul years and years ago about, and he had mentioned Brinster as well. Going through and having kind of he was talking about the X step. He's like, it's not a step, it's a hop. I'm like, they call it the Brinster hop. And here's Paul doing it.
Yeah. He's just much more level. He's not going up.
Yeah, he's much more level with it. Yeah. And
he's so
I prefer that. But
I do too. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, the hop there, it's for some reason it's controversial, and I don't understand why. Well, I don't know that it's controversial among coaches. Like I can think of coaches that for sure, like Seabass 22. Not sure if you're familiar with Andrew or not, but I know he's a fan of it. And he talked about, we were chatting one time about Yuli's form when Yuli used to have the hop. He was like, "Oh, I loved Yuli's form when he had the hop." And Paul's got the hop. He's always had the hop, and you've got the hop. I'm a fan of it. It gets the weight. It gets you kind of loaded on the back leg.
It can do more than just that. It's like a momentum. If you learn how to transfer that momentum from the little bit of hop that you're getting, and you can keep that energy from moving, even if it's coming down, but if you can still take that and transfer it like back upward, it can be very, very beneficial.
Yes.
But I would say it is definitely it does add another variable to your throw, which is why I think some people would say don't do it, because it's easier to be more consistent with less variables, similar to spin putting being on paper a lot better, but I think the majority of putters now are spin putters, so that's kind of proven to not be as to stand up the test of time.
Yeah, I personally I do it when I up tempo. I hop, and it just like you're saying. We talk about the swing of the hips a fair bit on the channel, and so when you have that little hop, it kind of loads you for that upswing again, where your lead hip and your lead shoulder are going to swing up into it. So if done well, I agree. That's where a lot of the value is for it.
Absolutely.
Keeping you balanced, letting the hips be mobile because they're not so held up by the foot on the ground.
Totally.
But yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
and
so much of what Landon has been working with me on is a lot more elbow centrated pulling through and driving with my elbow. And there are times I forget because I've to understand where I've picked up pieces of my form, and I say that's the one part that I think is the one thing that I haven't been able to fully fix. Is sometimes I come in and I'm a little bit dipped, so I have like a small little heartbeat in my throw, but that's fine. It's something that I can just put a little bit of time in and work out. But we're talking, like, as I try to teach, is always in straight lines. We want to be working as much in straight lines as possible. So that was one part that I have been working on. But I have taken inspiration from Nate Doss in the wide rail because he was so far out with his throw. He was out here. Barry Schultz comes to mind as well, like two really good players that had that wider rail of throw. And I've kind of always like looked at that as a way, I had a lot of issues of coming through and hitting my chest, which is, we've seen. So that's a way for me to not hit my chest, is think about, be like Nate Doss, be like Barry Schultz. And then another player, Seppo Payu, was another player that I really focused on, especially in the explosion portion. He has incredible, like, his acceleration is phenomenal, and I loved watching it. So I had a whole off season where I had to, like, I would sit there and be like, Seppo Payu, Seppo Payu, Seppo Payu, and I would have to. I told myself, because that, when I thought about mimicking Seppo's snap and explosion, I was getting way more consistent with my throws. So it's just like, you have to put things in your head to help you throw too. So again, I was taking inspiration, and this was 4 years ago, 4 years. No, I think I started working on my form 4 years ago. The Seppo Payu thing was probably like 2.5 years ago, and I started really dialing that into my field work. So yeah, that's probably one of the most important things about being able to throw further is when you accelerate and when you hit. And good players figure out how to do that. It was when we went to Texas States this year, Mikey had made a comment where he said, we're watching all the different forms in person now. And he's like, you know what they all do? He's like, from here to here, it's all, this is from here to here, it looks like what most amateurs do. But from here to here, the explosiveness from here to here is on a whole nother level. And that's that's the difference right there. Is like, can you get that, can you get the hand moving quick out of the pocket? Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
That's what pros do, that it's unreal. I mean, the footwork of, like, everything, of course, adds to that, but at the end of the day, once you get serviceable form and your body's out of the way, like you're saying with the wide rail, if you can create that space away from your body for the disc to pass unhindered by the body, and then figure out how to get the hand moving quick, you'll throw far.
Absolutely. Like, Sexton was the one who put it in my brain, because I think I was at one point early in my touring where I was very tense and aggressive all the way through the throw. So when I hit a disc good, really far, probably farther than I'm throwing now, like, I was hitting the disc really far, but I was so wildly inaccurate, like, it didn't matter, because I was scoring like crap, because I didn't know exactly where the disc was going to go. I was trying to make it go in a direction, but not always going in the direction I needed it to. So he put it in my head. It's your body is controlled and calm for everything to make sure that you're in the right spot. And then once you get to that spot where you need to explode, it is one moment of explosion followed by control again. It's like, so you're like, you don't basically explode and then say, all right, calm down and slow your body down. You explode and then you allow your body to just do what it's going to do naturally because you've already exploded through the disc. And that stuck in my brain as well, and something that I really started to teach as well whenever I worked on lessons or did clinics. It's like, think about one moment of explosion instead of doing a crazy long run up, sprinting and being aggressive and tight the whole time. You're going to be tired. You're going to be super tired by the end of your round, but also I don't think you're going to hit your lines as clean as you'd think. So yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, I feel like I can talk about so many different pros that I feel like I've picked up little pieces from, and I'm still picking up pieces and learning. So yeah, 34 and you can still be learning. So I think that's one part about this game and that everybody needs to understand is you can always be learning.
Yeah, there's so much and so many. Yeah, at the highest levels, there's stuff to be learned and stuff that is lacking in the top players' games. That
for sure.
Yeah, it's cool to see. We've got such a long way to go, and players are going to be crazy in 5 years because people are going to start systemizing that lack of knowledge. They'll start.
Thank God I'll be in Masters in 5 years. So. I had a round this year where I played against Silas Schultz, Jake Mon, Cole Riddallen. That was one of my cards at Worlds.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that was 17, 17, 18. And I'm 34. So I felt...
For some reason, I didn't think that Silas... I thought Silas was like mid-20s or something.
No, he's young.
Dang.
He's young. Dude, God. And... I mean, Jake is the epitome of 450 accurate, and then Cole and Silas are the epitome of they have that luxury of 500's easy for them. And we went out and played great rounds. I don't know if I finished with the best score on the card, but that was I took a triple bogey to finish. It was very weird. I was playing one of my better rounds of I played 17 amazing holes of disc golf, and then just had little brain fart at the end on just 2 shots, and that just left me to throw it OB, do a bunch of dumb stuff. But that was like, it was still pretty wild to show. It's like, okay, we're on Jones Supreme, and it's like this perfect bomber course, and my 450 accurate and Jake's 450 accurate didn't mean that Silas and Cole were just like, just getting holes that we couldn't. And it was, and again, I think that proves that point of, I don't think 500 should ever be anyone's goal. Is like if you get 450 accurate, I think you will naturally hit some shots that go closer to 500 feet. If you hit a good angle right with the right form at like trusting 450, it'll get there. You'll easily be able to stretch one out. But yeah, so I'll stand by that. I want more people to understand that throwing 500 feet is not as necessary as they think it is. It's good, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Unless the tour changes for this, like you said, this in 5 years when we have these new up-and-coming players, then maybe it has to. But again, hopefully I'll be on that Masters tour that just got dropped.
Yeah. And I don't think tour average... Do you think tour average is 450 right now? I don't think it is. 450?
What do you think it is?
425 maybe. I think most guys can hit, if we're taking like everybody, I think most of them throwing over 400, but it's when you're on tour, there are only a few people that it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's far. Yeah. And those
I'll agree with that. And I think that's the fact. Again, we're talking about what everybody thinks they need to do. Right. At 500 feet. 450 is attainable. 425 is even more attainable. But, I can put 450 in someone's head and they could see like, okay, I can do that. I've thrown 450 before. It's like, now I just got to dial that in rather than trying to take that 450, stretch it to 500, but they haven't figured out everything in between. So
now,
I do
think Sorry, I do think
accurate.
that most guys could go between 350 to 400 and hit their bag.
Sure.
You know, almost like, or get with like bullseye hit 350 to 400 8 out of 10 times.
I agree.
I do think that
they're going to be inside the circle at least. Like, you're going to, if you give them enough tries, like, they're going to put it close, because that's the shot you have to have. Like, that is a 350 to 400 is gotta,
right.
It should be 2 throws.
Yeah.
Like, anytime, especially an open field. If you're in the woods, it's different. But
yeah,
open
any
350
angle.
Any
shot
sidearm,
shape,
backhand straight,
350. Any shot shape, any stability of disc, they'll figure out how to get
able to do it
on the bag.
I did that yesterday. I put myself in line where something was framed up and threw all shots, like through straight shots, trying to slide it straight up, through sidearm hyzer straight up, through backhand hyzer. I did through sidearm turnover, but then I also did turnover to try and land it flat into it. And yeah, that is a wildly underestimated distance and skill set. I'll agree completely.
Yeah, and the gap hitting is just insane.
Yeah, that is all figuring out what you need to tell yourself and how your body moves to hit gaps, and it's completely trusting how your body's moving. And I've put it down to footwork. I trust my footwork, and if my feet move correctly and I plant where I'm supposed to on the tee pad, as long as I stay in my throw, I'm hitting the gap.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. I found that personally. Like, I've learned, once you learn how to aim the walk up, then it's a matter of, like you said, staying in your throw. Like, if I walk up correctly to the line and I don't open up my shoulders early, I will hit the line.
Absolutely.
Or very close to it.
Totally. Yeah, and I mean, you're going to have errors. Like, you're going to miss. How much have you talked about, like, if I'm off a quarter of an inch out of my hand, like, the amount that is off on the fairway can be, meters, if not, tens of feet, and that could be the difference of bogey or birdie. It's wild.
Yeah, meters, if not tens of feet.
Yeah, whatever. Trying to rope everyone in.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I would have done the same thing when you said meters. If not, I was like, man, what do we plug in here after this? If not feet, meters. If not feet. I was right there with you. Cool. Well, let's start digging into the form. Man, that's all stuff like stuff that I really think is more important in the form. I
do too. I think that comes down to it. Is we could have a whole discussion on just things to think about, or distances or shot shapes, anything of things that people should be working on, and those become, I think, more important than having perfect form. Because if you can understand how your body is supposed to move and make those shots happen, I don't care what your form looks like. And that's coming from somebody whose form is unorthodox, or at least my run up is unorthodox. So I love talking about this stuff. I mean, I can eat disc golf up. I mean, that's why I'm in it, So I think that's why you guys are in it too,
For sure.
Man, quick little side note, just a quick story. I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and saw this crew out of the east side of Dallas-Fort Worth, so closer to Dallas. And they're all playing at Audubon and Harry Myers, where Nick Hyde Memorial was always held. And the kids that came up were really, really, really good. Landon being one of them, Casey Wright, and I'm blanking on one of the other guys' names, but they just, you watch them play, and they were already playing at like what could have been a touring disc golf level, but they just were staying in Texas. And they were so good. Their form looked good. You can tell that they had been working on it. And yeah, I was envious of what I saw from them, and you know, and then I was able to like earn my own keep and make it happen, and then gain the respect by just being a decent disc golfer. That was like out of respect. Like you just respected how good they and how hard they worked, and they did the same, which is a really cool thing to see happen. Is like, when you see somebody throw a disc and you can tell they put in a lot of hard work and time, you're like, yo, right, I nothing but respect. You love to see it. So that kind of same thing happened. So I'm happy that it did, because I mean, now I genuinely think he is, 5-6 years ahead of his time, where there might actually be, and this is something that you guys might get into a little bit more, is like coaching and teaching and being swing coaches for not only up and coming players, but even for pros. So, because I think it is good to have.
Yeah. Yep. And I always enjoy it's like you said, when you find somebody in your field that it's different when you look at somebody that's in a different field. And I feel like professionals always respect other professionals, and it's like, okay, I know that there's lots of work that you had to do in your respective field to get there, and that's like one level of respect, professional level respect. And then someone in your own field, when you see the result and like, man, they had to do like these things, and because you went through it, it's just it's like instant, not just respect, there's like camaraderie there. It's like,
totally.
Yep. Homie.
Tell me you're not like just like one of the biggest fans of disc golf when you see someone else do something sweet. You don't get it. Like, it's like impossible to not be excited, at least for me. Like I watch other players, and I mean, there's some people have said that it's like, it's too much. It's like, it's me being too much of a cheerleader or whatever. I've seen plenty of those YouTube comments that it's just like, yeah, he just needs to shut up and keep playing. It's like, I am as much of a fan as anyone else, and I sometimes get a front row seat to Amazing Disc Golf, and sometimes I have the best seat in the house to my own Amazing Disc Golf, so there's a lot of that comes together. So it's like, I would rather embrace and enjoy everyone's disc golf when it happens than be this hyper-focused competitor who, when I watch other people do good things, that I get, I don't know, pissy, because I'm like, oh yeah, he's taking money from my pocket. It's like, no, he just did this really cool thing that I would like to also do at some point if I have the opportunity to, like, I don't know. I will probably forever stay in that lane for sure.
Yeah. I would like to be more in that lane. Mikey's in that lane.
Yeah.
I'm like, if we're competing down the stretch, like, I sincerely want to win.
Sure.
I also sincerely want you to lose.
Yeah.
Because that's part of me winning, is you losing. So
you have to have that instinct, though. Like, I guess there is a switch at certain points. But if we're in round 2 of a 4-round tournament and you throw a dope shot, I'm going to be hyped for you. But coming down the stretch, you kind of have to zero in and focus up, because, you can't. I feel that. I do feel that.
Yeah. So, but when people are getting after stuff, it's like, man, I do like seeing people work and hitting their goals and stuff like that. But if I'm in the 100%. Competition, I want to see them hit their goals. Not in front of me. Just almost hit your goal in front of me, but I want to win.
Just come up just a little short. It'd be great for me.
do good enough for second. Just shoot for second.
I love that.
So yeah, I'm too competitive.
You have
maybe
to be.
Not.
If you're going to keep playing sports and you keep doing things and you're going to be in disc golf, you have to have that level of competition. Trust me. As much as I am like a happy guy, like I get frustrated on the course and I show my emotions sometimes, and that's actually something that Tina and I talked about. It was like she genuinely thinks, and it's something that I believe and want, is like to be much more like, oh, I missed a putt, okay, because
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that will keep me more competitive in the long run, because I won't be so distraught. I will easily be able to just like let that just be gone, as a thought or anything that stays in my brain because I'm just already back into the same mindset of I'll make the next one. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be good on this next shot. Blah, like so on down the line. So, yeah, that's it's hard, and it's going to be a part of like this whole off-season training, and it's like big focus. I had a few rounds like I did that this year, but I also had plenty of rounds where I missed a putt and cried about it a little bit. So, as you do.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely me. Especially the first year of the channel.
Mm-hmm.
It was like disc golf was just not fun for me because I felt like as a coach, and I know that the expectation is unrealistic.
Yeah.
But people are like a coach. They think, oh, the coach needs to be a great player, and I know that that's not true intellectually, but still,
you want to be good. You want
if
it.
you miss 15-foot putts.
Oh, dude!
You're like, I should make these. Like, I should.
Yeah.
I have to. Like, it was really hard for me to like detach at all, and say like it really doesn't matter, and my students really don't care how good I play.
Sure.
They care how good I can help them play, but it's not something that comes to my mind.
You want to
easily.
be able to back. It's having recognition and backing it up, and I get that. And that is, I feel you. I feel you there. When I've done clinics or done private lessons, I felt the same, and I'm like, yeah, and see what you want to do. You want to hit the shot, and I'm like, whack, and I hit the first tree or something. I'm just like,
yeah.
I have never felt more embarrassed in my entire life. I'm trying to show you how to be good, and I'm showing you how to be, like not even get off the tee. So that's. I mean, you got to be able to take ownership in those moments and just accept it. But I mean, how do you feel now? Do you feel the same ways? Have you learned from that process?
Yeah, I've learned to. I'm getting better about just like this is player Josh over here, and this has nothing to do with the coaching.
Yeah.
In terms of like my own performance, and if I want to do a tournament or something like that, like that has nothing to do with Coach Josh.
Love that.
Except for the fact that I use myself as the experiment all the time. Like if I'm teaching somebody or I'm working through something, I've got like a student that I've got in my mind and I'm trying to help them with a problem. Like I'll start experimenting on myself with how to like create the mind track or the like thought process that needs to happen.
And how to explain it to them. Like you have to figure out ways of how to explain it to yourself. Like I was saying, like throw like Seppo Payu earlier. How do I explain that to somebody if they don't fully understand Seppo's form or anything like that? It's like, okay, cool. I'm like really focusing on the hit point and really trying to be explosive, not for this gap, but for this tiny moment. So like, like finding ways to express that. And it's wild because you could be a great teacher for somebody, but the one thing you're trying to explain doesn't come across the way it should. But then Tina will step up and be like, oh, did you ever think about it like this? Blah, blah, blah. And then that is the exact – and you and Tina said the exact same thing, but them hearing it in just slightly different verbiage changes everything. It's wild when it comes to coaching and teaching with that regard, is that sometimes things don't always stick. And I don't know. I think that's why it's important to go through that process yourself is really good, man. It's really good. So,
well, I hope you all enjoyed that. That's part 1 of 3. Again, the next part is going to be on his backhand form specifically. We're going to dive in and look at all the pieces there, do a little analysis. And then part 3 is going to be on his forehand. So make sure that you check back in, check those out. Thanks so much. We love you guys. We appreciate you. See you in the next one.